So I guess to get started, I just hit record. If there's anything that you guys share or say that you don't want recorded or published, let me know and I'll shut it off. But the thing that I guess I offered everybody here or that comes here is an ask me anything. So if you have any questions, I'm here for it. This is way cooler than I thought.
All right.
Excited you came. If you have a need or you have a question, dude, I am here for it.
Okay, sounds great. I'll try to think up something. I don't have anything specific at the moment.
Okay. How's your wife doing, by the way?
She's doing good. She's going to be on the call in just a minute. She's helping get the baby ready for the morning.
Right on, man.
But she's working through some of her stuff. She's growing. She's getting the store set up, getting social media going. I think a lot of good work. We're still just trying to figure out some of the kinks on getting it live.
How did that, as far as like her Etsy store, I told her to raise prices. You said she did. How did that work out?
So we raised the prices the first week after we saw sales went down, but the revenue was about the same due to the increased price. But then it took a nosedive after that. And so we were working on adjusting the prices down a little bit and trying to find the sweet spot.
I told you there was going to be some testing with that because anytime you raise prices, you're going to lose the customers who view it as a no-brainer immediately. But you got to find, where do you maximize revenue compared to sales?
Sure. So we need to do a little bit of testing there, but she's been a little more focused on the pajama line and some of the other surface pattern work. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, Jaron on this call, it might be interesting. Oh, dude, you live right on the same street. So Jaron is the husband of my sister-in-law. I haven't told you that you guys lived on the same street. But Jaron is like a design guy, graphic and digital and stuff like that. But yeah, this might be a cool connection for Kayla to have,
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
doing patterns and designs and such.
You guys live on Watermill?
Yeah, we're 7906.
Oh, nice.
We're 7096. Anyway, we're like in the middle of the street.
We're in the very end, the last one by the townhomes.
Okay, on the south side, south end.
Yep. With the big truck and the big driveway.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely have to connect, and you and my wife can share design philosophy.
What do you guys make? What are you guys doing?
So she does surface pattern design, which is a lot of kind of repeating patterns. She's done work for Riley Blake, who produces like fabric for quilting and things like that. And so she has a contract with them. And then currently we're working on taking the same kind of patterns and designs and applying them to a children's pajama clothing line.
Sweet.
Idea. But yeah, I think my wife's very talented with the artistic things. She's got a good eye for design for sure. I'd say she's a little less like graphic design, but I don't think she couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Cool.
And then what do you do there, Darren?
I've just been doing art and design stuff for the last 25 years.
Awesome.
That's not what I do for work. That's just more of a side thing. I just basically do whatever anybody needs help with. So someone like your wife, where she does like traditional art, I might just digitize it for her and make it vector. So it's like infinitely scalable, up and big, up and down.
Okay.
So, like printed on the side of a truck or on a billboard or something.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or I like designed Parker's book. I don't know if you guys have seen his book.
You did my book cover.
Yeah. So I did Parker's book cover.
Nice. Looks great.
Literally just anything anybody needs. I work in the broadcast industry and make little content for just literally anything anybody needs.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to connect.
Yeah, I'm sure your guys as kids like run around each other all the time too.
Now that's warming up.
You're like 5 houses away from each other, I think.
Our boys are always screaming in the backyard. So if you hear screaming, it's probably us.
Nice.
But yeah, cool.
I'm waiting to see if Kayla gets on and has a question or something that I can help with. But otherwise, I was just going to record. Oh gosh, we got another. Dude, you guys are awesome.
So, dude, I do have a question
Yeah.
about what we were just talking about. I have such a hard time charging people money for my stuff. I typically don't do it because I hate asking for money. Like when I did your book, you just paid me out of the goodness of your heart. Typically, I just do it as favors for friends and family. Like, how do you ask for money and not feel weird about it?
One, you respect yourself and your time and what it's worth. Like, I think a lot of people in general kind of devalue who they are, what they're doing, what the value is to other people. For example, I coach a guy who owns an auto detailing business, and he undercuts everybody on the market by like $100 for his services, right? And he's done that so habitually to gain clients that he's actually devalued what his time and efforts are worth to other people. He's devalued that perception in his mind, right? And I think somebody in your position, Jaron, where you have this really broad skill set and you can help a lot of people, because you do help a lot of people, you've devalued what your time is actually worth, like the market value of it, if that makes sense. So you have to just be willing, I think, on the front end to charge someone something. And you can explain to them, hey, look, this cost me X amount of time. These skills are things that I've developed over 25 plus years of doing this. These are not things that you just go and you find anybody to do. For example, I showed you, Jaron, the artwork that I had a first year design student at UVU do for my book covers. And they were bad, right? But like I paid to do like a couple $100 for those. And that was what he produced for me, right? But the difference between the couple $100 design that he made and what you created for me, one, you did it exponentially faster. And two, the work quality was infinitely better, right? That was just a no-brainer choice for me. I think the point is, one, you have to be willing to charge somebody something up front. And then you'll start to reassociate that your time and your efforts are actually worth something to people. And then it becomes easier to just charge more. Please ask
Yeah.
follow-on questions if you have them. This could be an open conversation and dialogue. Andrew over there turned off his camera and his mic. He's probably in a position where he needs to charge people more money too. He's worth more.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah. What do
Just
you
out
guys
here.
do?
I run a little home inspection business, stuff here in Heber on a condo. But yeah, trying to still figure out what I want to be when I grow up as well. What about you?
Jaron, he's talking
Oh,
to you, I think.
yeah. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I help people do whatever they need to do. And luckily, I've been able to make a career out of that and get paid fairly well for it. But as far as what I want to do, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
What are you help people do what they want to do? Tell me more.
Oh, I do design stuff as like a side hustle thing, but in my career,
You designed the cover of my book.
but yeah. But in my career, I'm a software implementation person and just help big companies integrate software and solutions. So just as my daily task, I help businesses just like implement solutions, but I do that as a career, not as like an entrepreneur. I just do that as like a job.
Nice. I guess, Parker, I have a question in that same vein.
Sure.
It seems like myself and people on this call and a lot of others, they may have certain skills, they may have certain interests, but at the end of the day, like, I'm maybe not deeply passionate about any one of those things, where at the end of the day, if I made a bunch of money doing X or a bunch of money doing Y or a bunch of money doing Z, I would be fine with any of the three, but it almost creates a now I don't know which direction to go kind of problem.
Definitely. I think we actually talked about this just a little bit on the surface level when I was over at your house a month or two ago. But here's my, I guess, my recommendation. I get asked a lot about what kind of business like someone should start. People ask me, what kind of business should I start? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start a business. Ultimately, I don't think it really matters the type that you start or the field that you go into, as long as it's something that you're genuinely passionate about. That would be my number one recommendation. And there's a couple of reasons for that. But I think the biggest one for it, if you're going to go into a niche, you need to be interested in that niche, is that if you run into an obstacle or you run into a roadblock, it's really easy to give up if you don't care about the product or the solution or the people in that industry, if that makes sense. And then the second aspect of that is that if you're not actually interested and passionate about it, you aren't making necessarily authentic content around it, or your messaging isn't real, if that makes sense. If people recognize real, I definitely want to recommend that even though there's other avenues that someone can go and make money in. For example, you mentioned you got 3 options where you can go and make different income in any of them. And if you're making money, you're happy because you're making money. But at the end of the day, I don't think that those become scalable until you're in a field or a field that you're passionate about. I hope that makes sense. And if it didn't, please ask.
So you would say, so for example, I've got 4 options, it feels like, right in front of me, and they're all at the same stage. They all have the same potential. But you're saying out of the 4, if there's one that I am more passionate about, regardless of potential or what it is, that should probably be the route I go.
Definitely. And the reason is, like I said, multifold. But if you're passionate about it, that's the easiest one for you to stay committed to. That's the easiest one for you to stay up late at night working on or get up early in the morning to resolve problems. If you don't have that buy-in to being something you're genuinely interested in, that just makes it easier to quit. It makes it easier to give up.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, I think the aspects that most determine success for someone in an entrepreneurial journey is that you make the active decision that you are going to be successful in that capacity, in that realm, and you just don't give up. You stay on it. But if you're not passionate and interested, you give up.
Cool.
Andrew got his hand up. Please unmute, my friend.
And I understand what you're saying, the passion side of it. I agree sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen. And now who was that, Todd? And so like with home inspections, it's gotten to a point where I probably need to hire somebody. Am I passionate about home inspections? I don't know. I don't know if I am or not. I feel like Todd. And then I'm up here in Heber/Hideout. I do some owner's representative work where I manage the general contractors. I see all the numbers and know what the general contractors are making on these projects. And so I want to leverage my skill set, my current skill set. It's not like I want to get into software or something like that at the moment. I guess my question is there a more mathematical way to look at it? Is it like, oh, do you have any advice on if your leads cost X and you're able to achieve this ROI on your leads, or if you're able to achieve this dollar amount with your time? I guess I'm just trying to understand, is there a more mathematical way to help me come to a conclusion?
Maybe to cover the overarching theme here with your question, I wouldn't walk away from something that's profitable exclusively on the fact that I'm not totally interested in it. Like you said, you're at a point, I think, knowing your workload and your work volume, you definitely need to hire somebody. And then maybe it's not that you're not passionate about home inspections, right? But maybe you are passionate about the managerial aspect or the leadership aspect that comes with growing a business and bringing in employees. And maybe that, like for me, I'm not inherently passionate about e-commerce, right? But everybody here knows I'm the flagpole dude. I sell flagpoles. But I am passionate about the First Amendment and the right to freedom of expression. Like my e-commerce business is really just a pathway for me to be fulfilled in supporting people through that aspect. I'm also really passionate about leadership and leadership development, right? So then having a team with subordinate managers that I can grow and develop and teach, and I can being like an owner is essentially just being a coach without being like the title of a coach, because I'm just coaching my managers. I'm coaching my team leaders how to be maximally effective. Right. And then I'm letting them take ownership of their roles. But that is what's the most fulfilling for me in that business. Does that make sense? So I wouldn't necessarily view it strictly on a mathematical level. If you're profitable, don't walk away from the money just to walk away from the money. Don't walk away from the money just because it's not your maximally fulfilling calling, but find ways to be interested, or you keep that one aspect while you look to grow another. Don't put your family into poverty over the goal of finding a niche that you're absolutely passionate about. We have to be rational and logical here.
Helpful. Thank you.
If it's not helpful, tell me.
No, it is. I talked to builders up here, and I know they're clearing some of the like solo operations, right? They're clearing 500 grand on a spec build in Park City, about $2 million sale price. And I'm like, I know that just doesn't require that much time. And I feel like maybe right now I'm more of a, how can I just get some more time back? And yes, it's the hiring process, but I view that as, I know it's like the first major hurdle of that first hire, and it's a sticking point for me. And I'm just wondering, am I going to look back in 5 years? And I know we've talked about this. I believe we've talked about it, but I can look back in 5 years and be like, man, I wish I would have grown like a general contracting business over a home inspection business. I've heard others say, hey, do both. And then I read the one thing and it's just pick one. And so I feel like I'm in this, that the rock in a hard place, we'll say.
So this is my thought for you, Andrew, right? You are probably, we talked about this before, you're probably in the top like 2% of home inspectors, if not more, just based on the number of inspections that you're doing. You're a solopreneur here, so you're lean and efficient, right? And you're making really good money. I would hire somebody. You keep providing them leads, but essentially you're getting paid for providing those leads at that point, right? Because somebody else is doing the actual home inspection work. But you can use your current position to springboard into the general contracting type world that you're looking at, or the project management side of general contracting or whatever, right? But you can use your money and your notoriety, and does that make sense? You use that as the platform, and then you've got house home inspections, and then you have adjacent, or maybe you can even be part of the same business, but house hawk contracting, house hawk project management. Right? I wouldn't say that they have to be mutually exclusive. And if you do hire somebody, you can use the person that you hire to pick up the home inspection side while you focus on growing the general contracting side. That frees up you and your time, but it also still provides you income. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think I guess I just need to systematize, right? I can't expect somebody to come into a company that doesn't have SOPs.
Well, that's the beauty of being small, right? You get to dictate and determine what that actually looks like. And when you're young and you when I say young as a business, you're hiring your first employee, you and them are creating this stuff as you go. My first hire when I was doing Oro Tactical was my buddy Jackson. I can't remember if you've met him or not, but Jackson and I had background in the military together. And honestly, we were creating our SOPs for future hires based on the experience of bringing him on, and then what I needed him to do and how we were doing it. We were refining it as we go. I wouldn't wait for a perfect plan, allegedly, or the perfect moment to take the action. The imperfect action taken today beats the perfect action never taken.
Do I hire an inspector? I've heard others say hire admin, or hire like your lowest hanging fruit, maybe lowest, we'll say.
Yeah.
Potential required. Yeah.
I disagree with that thought. Generally speaking, right? I prefer, just personally, to keep the business aspect of the companies a little bit closer to the chest, right? So I hire people to do the work. I don't hire people that are going to influence the lead generation, that are going to influence the payroll, that are going to influence. Does that make sense? Because there's way
Yeah,
more risk in the
totally.
admin side than there is on the sending someone to the home inspection side.
So comment on that. It is, I see where you're coming from, and that's a unique perspective I hadn't heard before or really even considered. But also, the home inspector is the one interacting with the realtor or the buyer during the walkthrough process. And so there is a large bit of
Yeah.
control there.
I would think definitely need to have a lot of trust with whoever you hire. And if it were me, right? Granted, I'm not like the expert on home inspections or anything, but if I were in your position and you're worried about loss of quality when you hire somebody, I would make sure that I take them on home inspections with me for a couple weeks, that you're like building that connection with them. You're showing them what to do. You're teaching them how to interact, right? To represent you and the brand. You're not just going to hire somebody and throw them to the wind, right?
Where do I look for them? Do I put out ad on Indeed or something?
You can if you want to pick up somebody that's like already qualified. But if you want to have the maximum control over who this person is, what they are, how their skill set is, right? If you want to mold them in your likeness and image, what I prefer to do is I prefer to hire referrals, even if they're unqualified, because you can teach the qualifications. Does that make sense? Like what was your time process on becoming a certified home inspector? Was that like a month or two when you committed to the goal?
There's a training process and a certification process. So I think the first expectation would be, hey, go through all your InterNACHI trainings and get your license.
So my thought is you did that already, right? You've done that for you, but now you know
Yeah.
how to do that and you know what that looks like and you can coach and help your employee go through that process faster. It's like on the job training. And if they're not worried about balancing other careers at that point, you can get them through, I would assume, in a much faster timeline than what you did it in, right?
Yeah. It's just such a low barrier to entry, right? Nobody's going to go, oh, I want to start a flagpole fabrication company. And that's my hang up. Maybe I'm talking myself out of this, but also want your opinion. Do you feel like the barrier to entry is just so low? You just need a couple of tools and some relationships, and you can develop those relationships by working under somebody else. Or you just, obviously it's profitable for me, but I just wonder, are you still there? Sorry.
Yeah, still here.
Oh, the screen's off. I might turn it off as I'm testing some things here. Do you have a comment on that barrier to entry being so low? Does that concern you at all?
No, I understand the concern, but it doesn't necessarily concern me. I think having a low barrier to entry inherently means that you're going to have the inferior home inspectors and the people that are bad at making relationships get weeded out really quickly, and those that are good rise to the top. Does that make sense? If you just have low barrier to entry and everyone's coming in, the real estate agents learn pretty quickly who they don't want to do business with.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting perspective.
I have that same thought with, sorry, not to go off on a tangent here, but with AI, right? The more AI becomes prevalent and utilized, the people who are infinitely dependent on it can't differentiate themselves, can't stand out and appeal to other people. And then you have the ones that are like maximally intelligent and trust building and trying to get out there and build relationships still. That cream rises to the top, man. Yeah, I think it's the same boat with you, where you have perhaps a lower barrier to entry and more people could get into that field relatively easily, especially in Utah, because I don't think Utah requires the like same stringent licensing. I think that's a really cool way that you differentiate yourself is by going through those extra certifications and things that aren't necessarily mandated by law. But at the same time, you've developed a reputation for quality that keeps presenting you leads. And that was another thought was you might be hiring somebody to do home inspections, but you're not necessarily giving up your lead generation to them. You can still be the one that's that face and that's having those conversations with agents and brokerages and people You're just exporting the actual inspection to somebody else.
Good stuff. Time to hire. Time to level up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
like for you, man, in my opinion, it seems like a no-brainer to hire, but then that opens you up to do the general contracting thing that you're most interested in. You've been talking about that for a year at least, right? Like you have that interest.
Yeah.
I think that because you've had that interest for so long, obviously it's something you're passionate about. It's something you would do well, but don't walk away from the money now. Find a way to use this as your springboard.
Absolutely. Sorry. I will have to. I'm gonna listen in, but I'm gonna have to shut the video off. But this is good stuff, man. Thank you. I mean it.
Absolutely. Hey, Kayla, I see on Todd's phone, he said you might have a question.
Yes, my questions are a lot more focused on the e-commerce stuff.
Hey,
I've been terrified pertinent.
that's the 100,000 orders award behind me. You have the Two Comma Club back there, the Two Comma
Yes,
Club.
yes. Hey, sorry, I'm dealing with a sick baby. She's been thrown up, so she's not happy right now.
It's okay. We love kids. We're parents.
Anyway, no, I take her. Okay. The tariffs.
Mm.
I think I had Todd message you and see what it is with the business, and you gave like a great response back that like you can change your pricing to reflect the tariffs. So I have a manufacturer that I found. I sent out 3 different manufacturers what I was looking for, and one was a clear winner. They came back super fast, had good communication, and really good quality. Another took forever, like at least 2 more months after the other one. And then the third one, they sent it fairly fast after the first one, but they did a terrible job, and like the sizing was horrible.
Sure.
It was super wide and short and would not fit a single human being on this planet. So now that I found one that I like, but they're in China and they're like telling me that the tariffs aren't going to affect it. And I'm like, I don't trust you. How would the tariffs not affect it?
Well, so the tariffs don't right. I guess one, we have to understand the tariffs. They don't
Yeah.
affect production or the quality, right?
They said they could do something called DHP. I might be saying that wrong. Where they pay the tariffs.
Yeah. So it's use of an import company.
That's kind of what, yeah.
Not that I want to say anything that might be incriminating or anything like that, but there's business, right? If China imports direct to the US, right, you're going to pay a 25% import fee. So I know that there are businesses that, like, for example, China will ship to India, or China will ship to Indonesia or Malaysia, and then Malaysia will ship the items to the US.
Nice. Cool.
To avoid the tariff. Now, is that legal? No, it's totally not legal. We're not the one doing that. It's some other import company that picks up that like shipping handling risk.
Oh, yeah. I just see these people that they manufacture. There's a lady called Emily Lay, and she has this planner that is huge, and she's like super upset and is fighting the tariffs and is.
I'm with her. We're fighting the tariffs.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel naive.
So even if you just like, at the end of the day, whoever imports it to the United States, they're the ones on the hook for the tariff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if let me go back and explain maybe tariffs a little bit. Typically, tariff is a percentage-based tax on the whole good.
Yeah.
And that's based on what you pay. So if you had a onesie, for example, and that onesie costs you $5 to have it manufactured and imported to the United States because you're buying it in bulk, right? So like 100 onesies, $500. The tariff I don't know what it is specifically on like textiles, fabrics, things like that, but let's say it's 50%, right? Instead of paying $500, you're now paying $750.
Is it different from the 125% that people are saying?
Yeah, I think that's
Different per category?
different categories, right? So the tariffs for aluminum and steel are different from the tariffs for textile, cloth, fabric, are different from the tariffs that are rubber, are different from the does that make sense? Now there is a flat tariff, right? Like I think all imports, and maybe I'm a little bit dated here, but all imports were like 35% base. But then when they add another percentage on that, it's not like compounding interest. It's just another, you have a 35 base tariff, and then you have a 15% tariff. And that was on the original price too. And so what you're really paying is a 45 or 50% tariff on the total project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
So when you think about it on the grand scale, like you order those 5 or those 100 units, it comes out to $500 or whatever, and then you pay $750, like that example I was just saying a minute ago. When you break it down to an individual product, it becomes a little bit more palatable in the sense that, that one onesie for $5 is now $750 on your cost, but you're still selling that onesie for 20 or $30, right? And yeah, it sucks. It eats up a little bit of your profit margin. That's why I said you can adjust your prices a little bit to compensate. And I would also be very just direct in the messaging about it. For example, Fabletics. Are you familiar with Fabletics? So I'm a Fabletics workout guy, mostly because they suckered me into one of those subscriptions and I just never remember to cancel it. But they have now, I did a Fabletics order a couple weeks ago. They've got on their website a little description and it says, hey, because of the cost of tariffs, we have to raise our prices. Instead of raising every item price, we're just charging a flat rate fee on every order or $5 to cover this surcharge. So even if you're using your credits or whatever, now you're paying for your shipping and handling and you're paying a tariff surcharge essentially. But obviously Fabletics isn't going out of business over that. Like people are still buying it because they, one, know the quality of the products is good. Two, they totally understand why it's happening. And then you're not holding Fabletics accountable for that. You recognize it stems from the government. So I would just be very proactive in your messaging. If you have existing customers that are going to be frustrated about that change in price.
I was going to do the pre-sale. And so now I'm like, I don't quite know how much to charge because I haven't done the bulk order yet.
Sure. So I would get your numbers in line a little bit. But what I recommend typically for e-com is you want to sit at like a 30 to 35% profit margin at least.
Oh,
So I don't know what the individual cost per unit is for you, but let's say it's $5 again.
$8.50.
$8.50. Okay. So your tariffs are probably going to bump that price up. Like the import fee, if you haven't reassessed your pricing, that'll bump up to $12.50. Worst case scenario, $16 type deal. But then you want to build in, okay, what's your cost per advertising? You already have an existing email list that I think you should be leveraging. Oh, P.S. I got to tell you a story in a minute. It's a total L for me, but it can be a win for you.
Right.
Leverage that, generate those sales, get your pixel dialed in a little bit. We talked about that before. But make sure that for example, if your product cost is that $12.50, $13 range, right? What's your cost to acquire a sale look like? Is that $7? If it is, you're at $20 already, and then you want to have at least that $10 margin to make you round it out of that like 33% range. So then you're selling your product for $30.
Yeah.
It's a really quality product. Like that's not unreasonable at all. I know Emmy is buying like baby sleepers and sleep sacks and stuff like that for $30.
Yeah.
I've even seen some of the nicer bamboo ones are like $40. So
Yeah.
I think that if your pricing model is something like that, you're right on track with the industry average.
Okay.
Okay, so my email fail. I have a good email list from my e-commerce companies, right? I'm trying to however, sell my book.
Yeah.
And with self-promotion. I was trying to sell my book to the people that I have on my email list already. Now, they're different niches in the sense that
Yeah.
my e-commerce is mostly patriotic focus. My book is self-help and entrepreneurial kind of focused.
Yeah.
I tried to sell the book. I sent 25,000 emails just to a small sample size of my email list, right? And I said, hey, here's my book. These are the cool features about my book. This is what you're going to learn from it. This is the value, and it's only going to cost you $19.97. I tried to sell the book to my email list like it was a product that they had already been familiar with. And out of those 25,000 emails sent, I had a grand total of 0 sales. Big fail. I was talking to one of my buddies about it, Dave Lindenbaum, Kombucha Dave, if you're in the e-com world and you know him. And he was telling me, dude, you failed because it's a transition from the niche that they were in. And you didn't bridge it. You didn't make a connection. You didn't tell them the story. So since then, I've been refining like each of my subsequent emails to the other members of the list. I'm storytelling how the one connects to the other. And that was where I was learning this information, and it was through the military service. And so if you're using your Etsy store mailing list, right, make sure that you bridge the gap to how that background maybe led to your experience and your desire to cultivate this other product. And this is why you should be interested in this product too. Don't just mail those people that are not necessarily interested in your new product a cold pitch. Warm them up to it through the storytelling aspect.
Okay. Did you end up doing that? And did it work for you?
I did, and I actually just sent another email last night after I did the storytelling and stuff. And I know it's worked, although I haven't gone and looked at all the numbers yet, because I woke up this morning with 80 emails in my inbox from customers that were replying to the email this time. So they were at least talking to me. Like I had one from a retired military colonel I read while I was just getting up and sitting with the kids this morning. And they were like, hey, thank you so much for sharing your story about like how your flagpole company built into. But I started like seeing all these emails come in last night and this morning now. So I know that the messaging worked better, but I haven't gotten to look at the stats yet. But I'm sure if I have 80 email replies, I definitely have sales.
That's awesome.
Any other questions that I can help with? Concerns?
I'm still just overthinking everything. Are they going to this design? Are they going to this? Or
I totally understand the overthink.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. Use the pre-sale model, right? That validates anything you do. And
Yeah.
you already said you're doing that. But when you post, those designs up before you make your orders, right, you'll have customers tell you whether or not it's a good design or not by virtue of the fact that they're buying it.
Okay.
So that should alleviate your fear. You're not actually incurring any risk. The big fear then is you're putting your designs and subsequently a piece of your soul out to the public because you've poured your time, effort, and energy into this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be a little bit intimidating, but I'm sure you're familiar at least a little bit with Alex Hormozy, right?
Yeah.
Dude's a billionaire with a B, but the
Yeah.
dude was a failure and a bro for most of his adult life. He's very consistently messaging that the people who are successful in business are the people who are totally comfortable with rejection and are comfortable being embarrassed. Because you're going to be embarrassed a little bit. You're going to share parts of your soul that other people maybe won't appreciate, but there are going to be people who do.
Yeah.
This is a first for me. I've never hosted a group Zoom call before, ever. I have always done just coaching in a one-on-one business. So I'm a little bit vulnerable here. And I'd only sent invites to 25 people that I knew would be cool to talk with and that wouldn't be a hostile environment for me. But I had absolutely no expectation that anyone would show up to this. And then I had 5 people jump on the call, and I'm like, that's awesome. It felt, but okay, sorry. So to relate this back in, I put myself out there to some degree for the first time, never having done this before. And then people show up. And all of a sudden I'm like, it's not scary anymore. It's cool. So I think that you'll have a similar experience. I know that I felt that way too when I started putting my face on the ads and like doing the goofy flagpole things, like the muscle suit or my wig or my top hat that I wear in some of my ads. But yeah, some people make fun of you for it. But at the same time, there's going to be hundreds, thousands of people that will be like, that's really funny. That's really cool. And then you feel validated.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yep. I need to just do it. I have the website almost done, and I've just been working. We got our pictures back from the photographer earlier this week.
Sweet.
And so I've been trying to turn those into mock-ups. And so hopefully I can, within the next week or two, at least get everything up to be able to have a pre-sale.
Hey, if Todd didn't tell you, Jaron, who's on this call, is like the kind of guy who could definitely help you get things into mock-ups if you're having a hard time with it. And he lives
Yeah.
on your street.
Yeah. Like I can do okay on Photoshop. I'm more an Illustrator person, but Photoshop, it's not looking realistic and it's bugging me.
Jaron made my book cover.
That's awesome.
Jaron, say something. I'm
Hi.
trying.
Sorry, I was walking around the house. Yeah, I could help you with Photoshop. I've lived in Photoshop since the 90s.
Nice.
Yeah, I help people digitize stuff and just do random projects and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And apparently we live like 5 houses apart or something. So,
Yes. I heard a little bit that you were so close. I'm like, that's nice. Yeah. I could definitely send you one of them and see how you feel about it, because it looks fake enough to not be appeasing.
okay. Is it, you're doing t-shirts or onesies or what are you making?
Baby pajamas. So I had a
Okay.
photo where the babies are wearing white pajamas so that I could overlay the pattern. And I've played with trying to distort it and trying to blend it and multiply it and overlay it. And
Yeah, that would be tricky with all the folds and the different bends and all that stuff. But
yeah.
I don't know. I could try to help you figure it out.
Okay. That'd be great. I'll ask
Sweet.
Parker for your contact info.
Cool.
Your contact info is you should both just walk onto your front porch and wave at each other.
True.
Yeah, but I'll pass it on.
On
That's what-
that,
I'm interested about this group coaching type stuff. Again, I'm not making any pitches or anything like that. But like this format where we can host a group call or something, then everybody can help each other too. And I think that's pretty awesome.
yeah.
I've become enamored with masterminding and just, I don't have all the answers, but you get into a group of people and everybody's got a different perspective and specialty that they're thinking from that background. I think that's really cool.
On the e-commerce, like selling baby pajamas type thing, I tried that like heart t-shirt thing, but my margin, like, cause I was just doing direct print to consumer type of thing. So my t-shirts, I was paying like $18-20 per shirt, but I was trying to sell them to heart families. So I was only selling them for $25 or something, but like barely making any money on them. What would you recommend to get out of that loop or get out of that hole or whatever?
So 2 things. One, 18 to, what you said, 18 to $20 per shirt?
It was just like I was ordering them one at a time, like not in bulk, because I don't know
Yeah.
who's gonna buy them or.
So
I know a lot of them are
I don't know what
custom.
service you were using. I used Printify for some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what we were using.
Dude,
But I wanted very specific shirts. I wanted like a very specific brand that I like.
and
I wanted good shirt.
that. But if you're not buying in bulk, you can't do the expensive shirt. That's just, you're killing yourself to begin with. Because at $18 a shirt, right? We'll say it's $18, but even if it's $17 a shirt and you're selling at 25, what's your costs to acquire a sale? If it's anything over $5, you're not making any money on those shirts. And subsequently, if you're not profitable, you can't keep doing it.
I ended up like the website cost to keep it up I ran out of money, so I had to shut it down.
I think if you're trying to do like a movement or a motion like that, all right, the Heart Warriors is what it was, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You have to focus on the messaging. You have to focus on the story of like how that came to be. And then you need to make sure that you're not selling products, right? You're selling community. That's what
right.
this should be in my mind.
Yeah.
So did you have a Facebook group that Heart Warriors and heart surgery people were like joining, and then cultivate the community and the story behind it, and then the products can sell themselves.
How would you suggest for him to run ads?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in paid ads. And the reason I like you can do organic, and organic is good for starting out, but you can't scale organic the same way you could scale paid ads. So I think every business at some point needs to get to paid advertising. I'm a big believer in Facebook, Instagram, like the meta ads. I think that they just have the best platform for targeting people with similar interests and for narrowing down who your ideal customer is. The way that I structure my ad campaigns right now, I learned from Michael Meyer. If you don't know who Michael Meyer is, he's like an international beauty company dude, but he like spends something like $10 million a year on ads, and is like the Facebook actually flies him out like quarterly to go over their ad platform changes and things. It's crazy, man. Okay, so what he recommended with Facebook's Andromeda ad system is your ad campaign, and then underneath your ad campaign, you do tests, right? So it's a testing campaign. Each ad set tests a different aspect of your advertisement. For example, one ad set, you have 10 different content or 10 different creatives, right? So different videos, images, carousels, whatever. And then your next ad set, you have one creative with 10 different primary texts. And then your next ad set has one creative with one primary text and 10 different hooks and headlines. But then so in essence, you end up creating like hundreds of ads, right? To test all your different things. And then let Facebook dictate the winners, let Meta dictate the winners, right? You'll see which primary text is converting the most in that test. You'll see what hooks are converting the best. You'll see what creatives are converting the best. And then you go and create a new test where you take the most effective creatives with the most effective hooks, with the most effective primary texts. You throw those into an ad set. And when those are growing, then you can scale that. And that becomes like your actual advertising. Maybe that was too much ad set strategy.
In my case, when I was doing the ads, like there's not an interest for like terminally sick kids. That's not on the list.
But I was laughing at the thought of or it not have terminally sick kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. That becomes like, you have to find the adjacent interests, at least for your initial, right? Once Facebook, for example, you use a Facebook pixel, you upload the pixel code onto your website, and then your Facebook ads are tracking who's going to your website, who's viewing the content, who's adding to cart, who's purchasing. So it'll track all those things. And then what makes Facebook effective is it's not specifically I'm trying to think of the words here. It's not necessarily that you have interests that you're targeting. It's that Facebook knows who to target in and of itself because of who's buying your ads or who's buying your products. And then they do the targeting for you based on similar profiles and information. We can't target based on people who post about having heart surgery, but Facebook can. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
So I think the better way to condition the pixel then is you go back to what we were talking about a minute ago. You have a community, right? Again, you're not selling individual products. You're selling a support group. You're selling your story. You're talking about how you and Brittany navigated Mike's journey, and you're offering other people with similar instances to come and join your group and your community and you're asking for people to share this with people they know who are in like instances, right? You build that community, and then that community is affiliated with your store. And then
Yeah.
people in that community start buying your products, and that's what's conditioning your Facebook pixel. So then you let the pixel target. So I would start organic first, cultivate the community and the group. Those people are the people that end up buying your stuff. And then Facebook knows who to target to. So then you can actually scale your paid ads.
Yeah. So because I did the whole Shopify site, I like doing the design and the branding and all that stuff. So should I have just done like an Etsy and a Printify? Is that where I should start? Just here's our Etsy if you want to buy something.
I don't think there's a wrong answer there. It's mostly just how do you make what you're on work? And I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, viewing what you're doing as selling products is the wrong mentality. If you're on an Etsy or something like that, Kayla runs an Etsy, you'll sell. And maybe let's think about the benefits of what each platform offers. Shopify is good because it gives you the option to have a ton of SKUs. You can have all of your different hats in one place. You can have all of your different shirts in one place, your hoodies. Like it just gives you a lot.
With it, Shopify, you can share your story more too. Because I feel like with Etsy, you're competing with so many people that are making digital files as well. Like they can just buy a digital file for $1 and put it on their own shirt with a Cricut. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. My view of
But
Etsy is that it's very individual product focused, right? Sure, you can create multiple listings, but you're not telling your story in the same way, like Kayla said, and you're not able to offer more.
Etsy does also have the algorithms to help people like, oh, you looked at this, you'd probably like this thing
Sure,
as
but
well.
so
Type
does
thing.
Shopify.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, so they and their whole like shop marketplace, and they will refer customers
From
with
other stores?
with similar interests.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't, like I said, I don't think either one of your store platforms is necessarily your make or break. I think it's the community.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to become a figurehead, Jaron. You have to lead a movement.
Yes. I need to be more socially media present.
okay, I struggle with that. I've been trying this week. I said I was going to post every day this week. And the ridiculous video was that I probably get like 20 views. And I'm like, why am I doing?
Yeah.
But that is one thing that I've been struggling with is that you have to have some sort of social media presence to sell your story.
Sure.
Yeah. You have to be on all the time too. That's what's hard about it is like posting every day or multiple times a day.
I'm not one that shares anything about my life. So
Yeah.
being on there is really hard. But I don't know. Do you have any tips for that, Parker?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts. The first is you can separate your business social media from your personal social media. Now, I think your personal social media is a good way to start for like organic traffic. You're pushing your friends, family, people who have like interests to you. You're pushing them to your store, and that's great. But create a separate social media presence for your business, right? And then when you're sharing, you're not necessarily sharing all of the personal details about your life and what's going on, but you're sharing your story about how you got to the business that you're running, how you created the products, why they were important to you, what interested them or what interested you in creating them. Sharing those stories and those details is what builds trust and authenticity between you and your prospective customers, right? So I think there's a line that you can differentiate between your individual Facebook and your business purpose for Facebook.
Even the business purpose Facebook, I'm struggling a little bit being creative with my videos or things like that.
Okay, so when we talk about creatives, this might that's where I was going anyways with this thought. So I have not always been good about creatives either, but I'm trying to learn from people who are good at creatives, if that makes sense. I don't know if you're familiar with Rob and Melissa Stevenson. They are the flea market flippers on Instagram. I'm friends with them. And I talked to Melissa. She creates the social media content for them. And all of their videos get like millions of views at this point. She shares her framework, and it essentially just boils down to a couple elements, but it's you, as long as you remember that every piece of content that you create needs to have a hook and a story, then you're. So she starts all their videos with a visual hook. So I stole this concept from her, and like my thumbnails on my advertisements that are the best performing, those are the ones where you'll see me in the goofy stuff. Like I wear the 1920s Halloween muscle man suit costume, right? And it looks absolutely bonkers, but that makes people go, wait, what? And I'll be curling a flagpole while I'm doing that. So there's something visually engaging. They click on it, and then you have to essentially keep their attention for those first 3 seconds, right? You think of everything that's happening in an ad as like 3-second intervals. So you have to get them through the first 3 seconds. What's engaging there? It's me curling a flagpole. It's me having employees hang on flagpoles or do pull-ups on flagpoles with some text that they have to read. And that's going to get them to the next 3 seconds of the video. In the next 3 seconds of the video, I'm going to hook them again, and then I'm going to share cool details about the flagpole. These flagpoles are durable, and it's a truck running over a flagpole. These flagpoles are strong, and then it's me doing an overhead squat with a flagpole. It's informational, but it's still re-hooking the customer or the prospect so that they're not escaping.
It's literally the math problem. 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds is like literally the formula.
Yes. For like reels, for short form stuff, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
And for longer form things, right, you need to, one, have that hook and get through those first 3 seconds, obviously. But then you can go into the story more. Make sure that you drop in like periodic rehooks, because you'll see if you start using YouTube, which I recommend everyone uses YouTube because it's the second largest search engine in the world. But you can go and see where people stop watching your video. Like, where does viewership drop off? And then you need to add a hook to keep them on for that next duration. And you want to avoid giving away the payoff too soon, because the second you give away the payoff, like if you pique interest on your advertisement or on your social media story, and then you give them the solution or the cure to whatever that interest was, that itch that you created, as soon as they have that, they're out, right? So as soon as you give that up, you have to end the video. You can't keep talking, rambling, or anything like that. It's got to just cut off. And then what makes the video successful, all of the social media platforms, YouTube, everybody shares this in common. They reward viewership, because viewers, when I say viewership, I don't just mean total number of views, the amount of time that someone views your content in relationship to how long your content is. The more that someone is on the platform watching what you do, the more your page is rewarded for people watching it. Does that make sense? So that's why you get like some of these, you get content creators that make really cringy content, but all of their content gets hundreds of millions of views, because that's what people are actually staying engaged with and watching and generating that watch time for. So the platform is incentivized to promote that content more because it keeps more eyeballs on the content. So my best performing ads and reels are the ones where I play that 3-second equation over and over again. One gets people to the next 3 seconds.
That's good.
I
Good.
hope that-
No, that's super helpful. I've never heard the 3-second rule. I'm ready to do formulaic like that, but yeah.
I talked to Adley, if you're familiar with Adley. She owns Viralish.
The YouTube
trainer.
girl?
Yeah, the YouTube girl.
Oh, A for Adley?
Yeah, A for Adley.
Yeah, okay.
So I talked to her last week, and she's talking about how she structures her videos. And that's where I get this 3-second thing from. But everything that that she does when she creates a video, she doesn't write the video from the end state, right? Most people write a video or they draft what their video script is going to be. And they're talking about, okay, I'm going to do a video where I teach XYZ. Wrong answer. If you do that, you're focused on giving up the information and then people aren't incentivized to watch your video, right? She cultivates all the videos to be like, what's going to captivate someone for 3 seconds, and you can give them your information or your steps as you go. So for example, for a cooking, I want to do an instruction where I show people how to make, scrambled eggs or something like that. And if your thought is, I'm going to crack an egg into a pan, that's not novel. That's not going to captivate somebody's attention. How can you make the video more interesting? Go do it in your car. Crack an egg into a pan in your driver's seat. If it's a really hot day outside, cook it on the hood of your car. I don't know, but do little 3-second things that show the steps of how to make your scrambled eggs, but you're doing them in a crazy and unique way that rehooks someone every 3 seconds. I hope some of that was helpful.
That's super useful. Spencer's here also. He's not on the call, but Spencer, I think.
What's up, Spencer?
Parker, I think we met a few times.
Yeah.
Congrats on all the awesome stuff you're doing. So
Thanks. I try not to
yeah,
stop.
you just need more wins than losses. Like,
And I get
Yeah.
a lot of losses, but that's the thing is you just don't stop when you take a loss.
Right.
You win.
cool.
Yeah.
That the way. Okay. Cool. Hey, dude, I think I should take advantage of this awesome kind of conversation with you.
Sure.
So this would be a new idea. New territory for me would be diving into e-commerce mixed with a very complicated 3PL kind of problem that this idea would need to be addressed. Question off the top: do you have allergies, seasonal allergies, or do you know someone that has seasonal allergies?
Sure. Everybody does.
Yeah, so I have it my whole life. The typical MO kind of solution would be, hey, go to the store, find a pill, 24-hour pill, allergy medicine, and they all do the same thing. They treat a symptom, but aren't really helping you. And then the next season comes along, and that first season attack hits, you just have awful allergies. You just see the cycle. And in the store, you just see all the same products, hundreds of different bottles, and they all do the same thing. So what I've been doing for 5 years personally is finding a local beekeeper, buying honey locally, and I microdose for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm literally immune for the entire season. No allergies the entire year.
We
So I'm
do the same thing in our house.
Yeah. And people love natural remedies, but you can't just go to a big box store to buy something local. And we have to go to farmers markets to try to track down these like beekeeper dealers, these honey dealers. So I'm like, all right, how do we do this at scale? Because I think people are on this like natural remedy wave kind of trend and being more health conscious, finding alternatives, right? And it's just so cumbersome to take a pill every day that doesn't really work, and it's expensive. So what I would love to do is create an e-commerce platform and bridge the gap with a marketplace e-commerce website to connect the consumer to their local beekeeper to basically drop ship their honey to them. So the type of website does have to be a little bit more advanced to say, hey, as the user, type in your zip code, maybe your county, and we could dial in what region you're in, what the allergy kind of pollens are in your area, right? And then it'll pop up 5 different local honey options. So then on the back end, I'm going to build,
Work of beekeepers.
right. So on the back end, I'm going to do a massive undertaking to track down this community of beekeepers and say, hey, here's our guideline instructions to drop ship when we send you orders. but be ready to have this bottled. We need some good product images, description. We're going to upload your products to the website and basically just be ready to drop ship for us. So
Something that you just said, by the way, just
with that,
for my 2 cents of feedback, don't let them do their own bottle and branding. Provide the bottles and provide the labels. That way,
yeah, I would say if
in
they
their
aren't,
mind, it's not that way they don't learn, okay, I'm just going to go buy from this guy. No, you want to
yeah,
have it be repetitive to you.
yeah, if we need to formulate a specific brand saying, hey, here's a bottle, here's a label to have some kind of consistency with our name on it, I think that's
Yeah.
huge. That's
When
huge in
somebody runs
branding.
out of honey, they're going to go order from whatever the thing says. If you let the local people do their own bottle and brand,
They're gonna next time they're gonna go to
correct,
it.
you are
Right.
losing customers on that. You want it to have your name, your brand, your website.
Yeah.
So they go and order from you
So they're
again.
basically acting as a co-packer
Correct.
with my white label, quote unquote white
You're
label.
white labeling essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's definitely saying, hey, this is certified in this area. These bees are in this county, because bees can only travel so far to collect this pollen. And that essentially, I think you understand the natural remedy here of how it works. Bees can only travel so far. They collect the pollen in your area. You build an immunity, and you don't have those allergy reactions.
Sure.
So I want to like really get in with this bee community, right? Because this is a distribution. This is a huge kind of distribution challenge, right? To connect potentially thousands of beekeepers that we're going to have requirements like, hey, can you produce this much honey? How many can you produce? What's your capacity? Do you need to
The
go?
part is you can't give them that information until you have some proof of concept and orders.
When we don't know the volume yet,
First.
but we have to at least know where the bottlenecks are. Like, let's say in a very
Don't start
specific
with the whole country.
Right. So to do this, we need to start very smart with, let's say, an area that's very high. It has data. I'm sure there's data with what's the most populated, what's the worst area with like allergies, right? Let's solve that problem and really
Which
work
area
this
that has the
out.
most beekeepers per capita.
Yeah, let's focus on that just to make sure we don't run out of product. So yeah, I think there's a way to really start strategic, build out this platform, have it very functional on the user side. And then also on the back side, right? Just imagine that endeavor, working with different types of small business owners that, as you can imagine, working with different types of business people, bee people. But I think there's something there. Yeah, it's a way to connect people
Sure.
to their local community or local honey source. So yeah, I've been brainstorming this idea for years because it's worked for me. I swear by it. Every year I buy a specific bottle that I seek out
Yeah.
and it works. And in the allergy world, it's funny, all these bottles, they don't claim you, just like any health thing, you can't claim a cure. You can't claim it.
Yeah.
Same thing with these bottles, they can't claim it. So same thing with us, our messaging is we have to be very careful of what this does. We can have that
Anecdotal.
strong anecdotal.
We use this for this purpose, and I see these results.
Exactly.
Leave it to me. I can't guarantee these for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, that's the pitch. I want to do it. I think everyone loves the bees. Apparently, the bees are going to save the world or kill us all if they go away. There's this strong sense of bee lovers, and to support something, we're literally supporting small businesses on a national scale.
Really,
There's so much positive stuff behind this to bridge that gap and help small businesses get more exposure and thrive in a sense. But yes, I'm semi new to e-commerce. I have a parts website for my air machine parts business on Shopify. That's pretty basic functionalities. But with that in mind, what would you suggest a platform that I could build this off of that's a little more feature rich with targeting? Hey, what's your zip code? Okay, this is going to pull up these 5 products.
you can, I guess, I don't want to misspeak. I'm positive, though.
And it's just grouping, basically.
Every e-commerce Yeah, every e-commerce platform could do something like that. However, you're going to have to you'll have to have a developer essentially just make some code for it. Oh, Shopify, they might already have something similar. They, s- I don't like it. I'm not intimately
You see it in sign up forms. Hey, put in this, and then you get some kind of result populated.
correct.
So it's
Because I know they have software comparable to that in their like partner apps already for the platform.
yeah,
Like you're on the Shopify platform, you go in, you use the app store or their app marketplace. I don't know what it's called, but I know they have comparable things already because of that.
yeah.
And like we use something, I guess, a little bit similar in the sense that if somebody punches in their zip code, they get like recommendations for products based on where they're located. Like we are licensed to do all the NCAA affiliated schools flags.
Mm.
So if you punch in an Alabama zip code, you're going to get like a Crimson Tide flag recommendation for your flagpole.
Yeah, and it could, zip code is very specific by the mile, but it could just be as simple as
Sure, but your site could
surrounding.
who's the closest beekeeper to that zip code.
Yeah, the zip code's amazing because it makes the customer feel like, holy cow, I'm getting like the highest percent
Closest.
immunity, the closest source, right?
Yeah.
So zip code is, I feel, pretty valuable. Alternative could just be like city, right?
Sure.
But yeah, just having to build that out. So I'd be looking to hire a developer. I know some basic stuff, but I would definitely be interested to partner with a developer that could just help with that.
And I know Shopify, I think Wix, ClickFunnels, like all of those places that do e-com, they have partner developers like who are very intimately aware with those platforms and they can just connect you with those people.
Okay. So I've seen those ads, but I never thought they were actually like legitimate.
I'm not talking about the ones
Yeah.
off. There's people
On Shopify.
I'm a Shopify, I can do XYZ. But if you establish an account on Shopify, on Wix, whatever, you
Right.
go through their platform and then for certain those
I see.
are legit bona fide partners with Shopify.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good start. I can get some. Yeah. Yeah. Because
And to be honest, I could probably just hop on a call, go to the sites, right? Hop on contact a Shopify partner call or something like that and just ask what's real, what's not, how can you make this a reality? And you could get bids from them too to do the work before you even choose the platform and then figure out what's the fit for you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But then
I mean,
start small, like you said, start with one state and roll it in. That way you troubleshoot and then expand to the region around like the similar states and then just grow it that way. That way you're not inundating yourself with the inability to add the beekeepers on the back end. Does that makes sense? Because like you said, that's a massive undertaking and that's going to be what your biggest delay is. You can only add places that you can support.
right.
So I would start small. And then because people are already in that state or in that county are aware of it, it's a natural extension to start then growing the surrounding, touching adjacent counties and states. You will start getting some brand awareness. If you do well with this,
Yeah, a lot of people are going to send requests like, "Are you
I'm
here
going to
yet?"
tell you parents about it. I'm going to tell my members about it.
Yeah.
Spreads based on word of mouth around where you're already operating.
Very cool. So it sounds like the backbone of this will be let's just say Shopify website, because I have to be able to have that search feature and then on the back end be able to handle the drop ship stuff. But then past that, marketing wise, are there specific platforms you think I should focus on with paid ads and building kind of following?
Yeah, I would do build a community on Facebook. Right. I think that's such an underrated aspect because when you build a community, people feel that sense of belonging to a group.
Mhm.
You're answering questions on there, but then there's a connection to you as well and the brand. So I definitely would build a group. But then the three platforms that come to mind immediately for me, one, if you're on Meta already, you stay on Meta, right? Facebook, Instagram's really good because you can have that. Dude, Honey is salivating. So maybe rip off of Jaron if he's sitting right by you. That'll make your mouth wet.
He walked off. But the number one question I get when I tell people I do this, they're like, how do you like do it? How do you take the dose? So this could turn into, let's think of recipes, visual recipes, right? Oh, I put it on my toast, or I make a little tea, right? Dude, when I started, I was just eating like spoonfuls. I don't know. Like, that's not appetizing, right?
Yeah, I put it on my toast and I make tea.
Yeah.
That's the two things that I do.
Yeah.
But yeah. And you can make long form content explaining that, teaching that on YouTube, right?
Because that's like the learning curve is, okay, this is weird.
But then
Yeah.
with that, you run YouTube ads. And then the other one is Google ads, but specific to the county or the state that you're operating in already.
Okay.
Those
Yeah.
are the 3 platforms that I would emphasize, because those 3 platforms are the best at targeting geographic regions, but they're also the ones that, like Google and YouTube, those are the 2 biggest search engines in the world. Like 90% of people that want to go and like look up honey or you are searching for allergy remedies, they're on those 2 platforms to begin with. So
I see. Very cool. No, I appreciate this kind of brainstorm idea or chat. Yeah, I'm going to just find a starting point. I'd probably have more follow-up questions for you if that's all right.
yeah, sure thing. Great
Yeah.
time. We're friends already.
Yeah, there you go. So, well, cool. Then,
Opportunity to jump off and get lunch. I'm hungry.
Yep.
Darren, I hit him with a "that'll make your mouth wet" reference.
Right. That's awesome.
Okay.
I like your poster there in the back, dude.
Yeah.
Your orange guy, yeah.
Command poster. Thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. Later, dude.
Okay, catch you later.